Chapter 29. Benimaru studied me a moment longer, his brows knitting faintly. Forgive me for being blunt, but, weren't you male before, my lord? I scratched the back of my neck, offering a sheepish smile. Yeah, that's not wrong. But it's complicated. When I first got this human form, I used Shizu-san's body as the template. Her soul was mixed in with mine for a time, and it left an impression, one that never really went away. I looked down briefly, then met their eyes again. Over time, I guess I started feeling more comfortable like this. It's not about gender or labels, really, just about being myself. There was a pause. Not tense, just thoughtful. Shuna gave a soft, understanding smile. If this is the form you've chosen, then it must be the right one. Shion nodded firmly. Doesn't matter what you look like, you're still you. Hakuro gave a respectful bow. Indeed, your presence has not changed. Benimaru slowly exhaled, his serious expression easing into something more accepting. Then we'll follow as always, my lady. Ren stepped forward at that, one gloved hand elegantly at her chest. As of now, I ask that everyone refer to my mistress properly. She is Lady Rimuru. A brief silence. Then, one by one, the group bowed. Yes, Lady Rimuru, they chorused. I blinked. Wait, that's a little sudden, don't you think? Ren turned slightly, giving me the most innocent expression I've ever seen her wear, an expression I didn't trust at all. I'm simply maintaining etiquette, my lady. I sighed. Too late to stop this train now. Behind me, I felt Seal shift slightly, standing just a touch closer. Even with the mask, her quiet support was obvious. All right, I murmured. Lady Rimuru it is, I guess. Ren smiled, victorious. I glanced around at my closest companions, the ones who'd seen me through everything so far. I'd like everyone to know about Seal, I began, my voice steady. And about me, the changes I've gone through. But there's no need for a grand announcement. Just let it spread naturally. Quietly, no fuss. Behind me, Seal shifted ever so slightly, her presence a quiet support. Ren, standing to my left with her usual composed grace, gave a light nod. As you wish, my lady. I'll ensure the word is passed through appropriate channels. Then she added, her tone still calm but edged with subtle finality, and while doing so, I'll make it clear that Lady Rimuru is to be regarded and addressed as female from now on. There was a beat of silence, just enough to feel the message settle in. I sighed lightly, half amused. Guess that part's happening whether I say it or not. Seal said nothing, but I could sense her satisfaction. Ren didn't smile, at least not visibly, but something about her stance softened for the briefest moment before she resumed her flawless posture, the perfect maid once again in front of everyone else. I looked around at everyone gathered in the meeting room, all waiting patiently for what I had to say. I want to go to a human town, I began, keeping my tone calm but firm. Specifically, Ingratia. That earned a few surprised glances, but I didn't stop. I'm not going just to sightsee. There's something I have to do, something important. Their attention sharpened, and I took a quiet breath before continuing. Before Shizu passed, she asked me to save some children. Rigard frowned, clearly distressed. Then this is no diplomatic mission, it's a personal one. Exactly. And I want to keep it quiet. No entourage, no political noise. Just me, doing what Shizu couldn't. Hakuro stroked his beard, brows furrowed. Still, if something were to happen to you, Lady Rimuru, it would destabilize not just Tempest but the entire alliance. You must understand our concern. Benimaru folded his arms. Then let's compromise. We send protection, small, discreet. Enough to keep you safe without drawing attention. I'll go, Shion said immediately, standing up. I winced slightly. You're strong, Shion, but subtle, not so much. She blinked, then slowly sat back down with a pout. I'll prepare your travel arrangements, Ren cut in smoothly. Local currency, a secure route, emergency contingencies, discreet attire, of course. I raised a brow. You've already started on that, haven't you? Ren allowed herself the faintest smirk. I had a feeling. Seal will come with me, I confirmed. We'll keep our heads down, focus on saving the kids, and stay out of the spotlight. Rigard bowed solemnly. Then we will trust in your judgment, Lady Rimuru. And pray for your safe return. Thanks, I said, smiling. All of you. Despite all the change I'd been through, despite how uncertain I still felt about myself sometimes, they were still here. Loyal, steady, believing in me for who I was, not just what I'd become. And that was enough. Benimaru glanced at me again, thoughtful. If subtlety is key, then perhaps Soe can assist from the shadows. He's the best at remaining unseen. Soe, quiet as ever, gave a nod from his position against the wall. I can deploy a body double to accompany you in person, while I coordinate from a distance. That way, you gain protection without drawing attention. That'd be perfect, I said. Thank you, Soe. And Ranga, Hakuro added gently. Will he be joining you as well? I smiled. Of course. He won't stay behind even if I told him to. He can remain hidden in my shadow most of the time, like usual. No one will even know he's there unless we need him. A faint, pleased rumble echoed from beneath the floorboards. Ranga's version of a wagging tail. Seal nodded in approval. With those additions, our security will be more than sufficient. Ren cleared her throat delicately. Then I'll finalize the travel logistics and ensure your group blends in. As the discussion settled into quiet agreement, I glanced around the room, then added, one more thing. For this journey, I'd like to ask Kabul, Ellen, and Guido to be my guides. That drew a few raised eyebrows. They know the roads, they're used to travel between nations, and they've already worked with me before. Their experience will help us blend in and they won't ask questions they don't need answers to. Benimaru gave a short nod. They're trustworthy. I turned toward Soe. Could you reach out to them? Ask if they'd be willing to escort me to Ingratia. Quietly, Soe bowed without hesitation. Understood. I will find them and explain the situation. If they agree, I'll have them prepared as soon as possible. Thanks, I said, offering him a grateful smile. 3 adventurers as cover, Ren murmured thoughtfully, already scribbling mental logistics behind that calm exterior. That works in our favor. The fewer eyes on you, the better. And if they do ask questions? Hakuro asked quietly. I'll tell them just enough, I said. That I want to travel discreetly. That I've changed a little. And that I need help reaching somewhere important. They're good people, they won't press. As the meeting concluded and the others began to disperse, Ren stepped forward with her usual precision. Well then, she said, adjusting her gloves, it's time we prepared your attire for the journey. I raised a brow. No more gowns and corsets. She gave a small, elegant scoff. Hardly fitting for an adventurer. You and Lady Seal will be traveling openly, so your appearance should reflect that: capable, composed, and inconspicuous. But still stylish, of course. I chuckled. Naturally. Seal stepped to my side, her voice calm and steady. I will accompany Master not as a maid, but as her traveling partner, a fellow adventurer. Ren gave a firm nod. That will work perfectly. I'll prepare coordinated outfits for both of you designed for function and flexibility. Cloaks, leather belts, reinforced boots, and tunics suitable for combat or travel. Her tone turned lightly instructional. You'll look like seasoned adventurers. No royal crests, no identifying insignias. Just 2 capable travelers with a purpose. You've already started designing them, haven't you? I asked, smirking. Ren's lips twitched. I had a feeling you'd agree to this trip. Seal tilted her head thoughtfully. Something practical. A tunic and long coat, perhaps. Hidden pockets. Utility-based, but clean. Color palette? Ren asked, already pulling out fabric swatches from somewhere. How did she do that? Earth tones for me, I said. Something subtle. I don't want to stand out too much. Deep blue or charcoal for me, Seal added. It will blend into most terrain and suits my frame. Ren nodded sharply. Understood. You'll each try on a few sets before the final decision. And yes, she added, giving me a pointed look, you will pick a favorite. I groaned playfully. Can't I just pick whatever doesn't make me trip over my own cloak? No, Ren and Seal said in unison. I sighed. Okay, let's get this started, then. As Ren sorted through the swatches and materials, I crossed my arms and tilted my head thoughtfully. Actually, since we're going as adventurers, maybe we should appear a little older. Ren glanced up. Older? Yeah, I mean, 2 girls who look 16 wandering around monster-infested roads. That's bound to raise a few eyebrows. And draw the wrong kind of attention. Seal, ever composed, nodded in agreement. Maturity conveys authority. If we appear closer to 20, people may treat us more seriously. Ren blinked. You can change your age. I grinned. Shape-shifting body, remember. I already control my form on a basic level. It wouldn't be hard to push it a few years older. A little taller, slightly longer legs, more defined features, nothing drastic. She stared for a long second. Why am I only now hearing about this? I shrugged. You never asked. Ren sighed. Of course. Silly me, for assuming the ability to manipulate age. Appearance would be something my master might mention at some point. Ciel's expression remained perfectly still, but I could feel her amusement through the bond. It's true, she said. Even I wasn't sure until recently. But it is a logical adjustment. Thank you, I said, giving Ren an innocent smile. Besides, don't you think a pair of competent 20-something adventurers will draw less suspicion than two adorable teenagers with suspiciously perfect hair and synchronized outfits? Ren gave me the flattest look I'd seen all week. Quote. I'll admit, that's reasonable. Was that agreement I just heard? I gasped dramatically. She narrowed her eyes. Don't get used to it. Still, as she returned to her work with renewed focus measuring lengths, adjusting sketches, her motions had the smallest hint of a smirk. Maybe she was a little proud of the idea. And as I watched Ciel quietly adjust her own features just a touch more height, a slightly older look to her jawline, a grown elegance in her posture, I found myself smiling too. Yeah, this might actually work. Ren worked swiftly, precise as ever, as she laid out 3 distinct outfits across the long table. The silks, leather, and fastenings gleamed in the afternoon light streaming through the windows. All right, she said crisply, since you'll be traveling incognito as adventurers, and since you've both decided to take on more mature forms, I've prepared 3 options. Functional, appropriate and flattering, of course. I looked down at myself, taller, with a sharper figure, long blue hair cascading in soft waves down my back, golden eyes slightly more intense than before. I hadn't lost my youthful softness, but now there was a grace to me I hadn't quite had before. Ciel stood at my side, identical but for her red eyes. Her presence had grown more composed, more commanding. With her usual calm expression and elegant posture, she looked like a noblewoman in disguise. We really did look stunning. Ren stepped aside and gestured toward the first outfit. Outfit 1. Midnight Scout. A fitted navy tunic with reinforced black leather accents, silver threaded fastenings running along the chest and sleeves. A lightweight ash-gray cloak draped over the shoulders, and soft-soled black boots completed the look. A sleek belt for knives or pouches sat ready nearby. Ciel slipped into it and turned slowly. The outfit hugged her curves in all the right ways while still being practical. Her movements were fluid, quiet, precise. It's gorgeous, I said honestly, but we'd probably get mistaken for spies. Ren gave me a nod. Fair, it's a bit too shadow operative. Ciel, already halfway out of it, simply moved on. Outfit 2. Ember Traveler, skirt version. A crimson short-sleeved vest over a high-collared cream blouse, paired with a sleek black pleated skirt that brushed just above her knees. Gold embroidery spiraled down the edges of the skirt and vest, elegant yet bold. A layered mantle in red and brown hues hung from her shoulder, giving a striking silhouette. Brown gauntlets and polished high boots finished the ensemble, with just enough ruggedness to remain practical. When Ciel stepped out wearing it, I blinked. She looked powerful, elegant in a different way. Like a noblewoman who had chosen the road over courtly halls. Mature, adventurous, but maybe too noticeable. It looks amazing, I murmured. But maybe not what we're going for. Too many eyes. Ren adjusted the hem of the skirt slightly. Agreed. It's beautiful, but a little too tailored. Ciel gave the faintest sigh, still expressionless, but we could tell she understood. She turned and stepped away once more. Outfit 3. Stormwalker Ensemble. Deep blue longcoat, sleek and tailored, with subtle silver trimming. Beneath it, a black belted tunic and fitted pants designed for long-distance travel. A short cloak over one shoulder with a brass clasp. The boots were practical but cleanly designed, and the coat moved like water when she walked. Ciel emerged, and this time, neither Ren nor I said a word. She was breathtaking, mature, mysterious, and effortlessly elegant. The outfit gave her a presence like someone you'd admire in passing, but hesitate to approach. Just enough style, just enough anonymity. That's the one, I said after a moment. That's you. Ren nodded firmly. Perfect. Ciel gave a tiny nod. Then I shall wear this with pride. She didn't need to say more. It suited her completely. And now, Ren said, turning to me, your turn. Already? I blinked. I stepped behind the screen. The outfit Ren had selected was already waiting, and from the first glance, I could tell she'd put her whole heart into this one. Rimuru's outfit. Azure Crest Wanderer. A high-collared midnight blue jacket with sapphire lining and silver crest detailing at the belt. Beneath it, a sleeveless white blouse tucked into a black pleated skirt, the hem landing slightly above the knees. Tall black boots with silver fasteners hugged the calves, adding height and grace. A sheer blue-gray cloak billowed from the shoulders, light as air. Fingerless gloves and a practical side pouch completed the look. When I stepped out, both Seal and Ren turned. Ren's breath caught. You look beautiful. I turned slowly to examine myself in the mirror. The skirt flowed with every step elegant, just a touch bold, but undeniably practical. Not too much? I asked. Ren shook her head. You look like someone people admire from a distance. Not someone they question. Seal stepped beside me, offering a rare smile. It suits you, master. I nodded, then added, going as girls might have drawn trouble. But as women in our 20s, we'll blend in better. Be taken seriously. Ren frowned slightly, arms crossed. Still can't believe you just shifted ages like that. I shrugged. It's convenient. And fun. She muttered something about magical freeloaders, again, but I saw the ghost of a smile tug at her lips. We spent the next hour checking belts, cloaks, boots, and hoods. Practicing movements. Walking side by side like seasoned travelers. No titles. No weight of leadership. Just Seal and me, two beautiful adventurers, preparing to step into the world together. For now, we were free. Just as Ren began neatly packing away the remaining outfit choices, a soft rustle of air whispered beside me. Soe appeared without a sound, kneeling respectfully. Lady Rimuru, he said, voice low and calm. A report. I straightened slightly. Go ahead. The three adventurers Kabul, Ellen, and Guido are already en route. They received your request and set out immediately from Bloomend. That was quick. They're expected to arrive within 2 or 3 days, Soe continued, assuming no delays on the road. Gopta is accompanying them, though I doubt he's contributing much to their pace. I chuckled. That's fine, as long as they get here in one piece. Soe nodded. They were reportedly eager. Ellen, in particular, said she was looking forward to seeing you again. I smiled at that. Good. Once they arrive, we'll brief them, and then we can start moving forward with the plan. Soe bowed once more. Understood. I will keep watch on their approach. Thanks, Soe. Let me know if anything changes. With that, he vanished just as quietly as he'd arrived. I turned to Ren, who was adjusting the fit of my cloak one last time. Looks like we've got 2 or 3 days to prepare, I said. She gave a soft nod. Then I'll make sure you and Lady Seal are fully equipped before departure. No loose ends. I nodded back, a little thrill building in my chest. It was starting to feel real now. The journey, the mission, the future, and I wasn't going alone. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. Ren coordinated every detail with her usual perfection: equipment checks, emergency contingencies, and travel attire for both me and Seal. I mostly stayed out of her way unless I was getting fitted for something or dragged into a briefing. Shuna prepared supplies for the road, Seal reviewed our route, and Xian insisted on sharpening every weapon we owned, even the decorative ones. Then, right on time, they arrived. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Hey, Rimuru, Ellen called out, waving with that easygoing grin of hers. Kabul and Guido followed close behind, both looking a little more serious but just as relieved to see me. Glad to see you again, I said, stepping forward. We heard rumors that you'd changed, Kabul said cautiously, eyeing me up and down. Right, about that, I said with a light sigh. Yeah, I look different now. Guido rubbed the back of his neck. You're a woman now, I nodded. Sort of. It's complicated. Shizu's soul partially merged with mine, so my form changed. But don't worry, I'm still me. Ellen blinked. Wait, Shizu really? Quote. I nodded again. Yeah, it wasn't something I expected either, but I've come to accept it. They all exchanged glances, but none of them looked alarmed. Just surprised. Still the same Rimuru underneath? Kabul asked. Completely. Then that's all that matters, Ellen said simply. Grinning. Honestly, you make a pretty cute lady boss. I laughed a little. Thanks, I think. Then I turned slightly, gesturing to the composed figure behind me. Also, I'd like to introduce someone. This is Seal, my second personal maid. She stood straight, dressed in her dark blue and gold uniform, the full mask covering her face giving her an air of formality and mystery. Seal bowed with elegance without saying anything. Ellen raised a brow but nodded. She's intense. She's incredibly capable, I said. And she'll be traveling with us. She looks more like a knight than a maid, Kabul muttered. She can be both, I said, smirking. After going over the basics of our route and final prep plans, everyone dispersed to finish loading up supplies and tighten saddles. We'll be traveling in disguise, I said quietly. So, while we're on the road, can you stop calling me, Master? Just call me Rimuru. It'll be easier that way. Seal went completely still. Rimuru, she repeated, softly. A pause. She turned her face slightly away, but even with the mask, I could feel the shift in her aura. Embarrassed. Flustered. Wait, I said, narrowing my eyes. Are you blushing? I am not, she replied immediately too quickly. I laughed under my breath. You've said, Master, so many times it's probably ingrained in you now. This is simply an operational adjustment, she muttered, voice quieter than usual. But then, she glanced at me again, and in a softer voice said, Rimuru. I blinked, caught off guard by how nice that actually sounded coming from her. My name, spoken like that, it felt personal. Intimate. I smiled. You'll get used to it. She gave the barest nod, but I could sense the warmth in her presence. Thank you for coming with me, I said. Her hand brushed mine ever so lightly. Of course, Rimuru. My heart gave a quiet flutter at that. After a long pause, I cleared my throat. All right, let's not keep them waiting. Together, we stepped out from behind the cart and made our way to the others. Just before we joined the group, I activated my transformation. My body shifted subtly, growing taller, more mature. My features settled into my adult form, graceful, elegant, powerful. Beside me, Seal followed suit. Her posture adjusted, her stride longer, her presence commanding. Still masked, still quiet, but somehow even more striking. Guido's jaw dropped. Whoa, Rimuru, you look completely different again. It's still me, I said casually. We're just taking our adult forms for this journey. Easier to blend in this way. Ellen blinked, looking between the two of us. You really do look like a noble couple. Seal stayed silent, but I caught the very faintest tilt of her head. Well then, I said, stepping up beside our cart. Let's get going. And just like that, our little party set out. The wagon rocked gently as it rolled along the forest path, the soft creaking of wheels and the occasional chirp of birds filling the air. The interior was quiet and calm, save for the subtle rhythmic sway of travel. I was curled up in my slime form, nestled comfortably in Ciel's lap. It was more spacious this way, and frankly, a lot cozier. Her fingers moved with absent-minded grace as she patted my surface gently, her gloved touch oddly soothing. Every so often, when a bump in the road was coming up, she would lift me in her arms with practiced ease, cradling me softly against her chest. I can feel her breast softly touching my slime form. I am sure she is doing it on purpose, and since she is in adult form, which makes her breast larger than my normal human form. It was embarrassingly pleasant. Warm, secure, and just the right amount of soft. I wasn't going to admit it aloud, but being held like that, especially with how perfectly she fit against me, made the trip far more enjoyable than it had any right to be. I let out a low, content hum from within as I rested there, pressed against her. Suddenly, a familiar voice broke through the peace. Gelb turned back toward me from the front seat. Lady Rimuru, what will we do for lunch? There's a resting house a ways ahead. Ever prepared as always. Nice one, Gelb. Let's take a break and have ourselves a meal in there. That lit up the mood across the wagon instantly. The adventurers Ellen, Cobble, and Guido had taken surprisingly well to the comforts of the Tempest-designed wagon, and with the view out the windows, they were practically spoiled. Not that I blamed them. When we pulled up at the small wooden structure nestled in the shade of the trees, Gelb hopped down from the coachman's seat with his usual efficiency. The Ranga was pulling as he didn't need any tending, he was faithfully following the route like it was on cruise control. Still, Gelb had insisted on riding up front, saying he'd take up too much space inside otherwise. That was just like him, serious, dependable, and committed to his role. I loved that about him. The perfect artisan. As we stepped out into the clearing, the cool breeze brushed past my cheeks. I glanced at Ciel, who had just smoothed her sleeves and adjusted her clothes, expression unreadable behind her face-covering mask. She looked immaculate as ever. While the others set up for lunch, we discussed plans between bites. The route to Bloomend was still only partially cleared, with about a third of the forest left untouched. We've made solid progress, I said, unfolding the map. We'll need to keep checking elevation as we go. Ellen nodded. We'll follow your lead. Honestly, I'm surprised how much easier it is traveling with Tempest's crew. You've really thought of everything. I just smiled. After another hour or so of journeying in the wolf-drawn wagon, we finally reached the edge of the current road construction. The dense forest stretched ahead like an endless sea of green, the untamed wilds waiting beyond the cleared path. I glanced out the window and then turned to the group. From here on, I imagine we'll be switching to traveling on foot. Ah, so that's where we'll be coming in, Cobble said eagerly, leaning forward with a grin. You certainly will, I replied with a smile. Make me proud. Sure thing, Ellen chimed in. Absolutely. Guido nodded with enthusiasm. About time I had something to do, boss. Cobble added, already energized at the prospect. Their excitement was contagious, and I felt a thrill of anticipation bubble up inside me. We finished our meal quickly and packed up, ready to continue. Geld and his crew of high orcs came to see us off at the edge of the forest. Geld paused, glancing around the dense greenery with a soldier's wariness. In deep in forest, the forest of Jura doesn't take kindly to the unprepared. I gave him a relaxed smile. Good thing we came prepared, then. Cobble let out a short laugh and adjusted his grip on his sword. Prepared might be an understatement with you around. I'm starting to think we're the dangerous ones here. Seal walked quietly beside me, her masked face unreadable, but her steady presence felt like a silent promise, calm, watchful, unshaken. With a deep breath, we stepped into the shadowed forest ahead, ready for whatever awaited. As we disembarked, Cobble quickly drew a dagger and began slicing through the thick, coiled vines blocking our path, carving out a gap just large enough for someone to squeeze through. Guido crouched down, placing an ear to the ground to listen for any signs of nearby danger, while Ellen hurried around us, casting spells to grant insect repellents, poison detection, and light bodily defenses. This forest was thick with threats: poisonous insects, venomous plants, and thorny vines lurking in the shadows, and their experience navigating this kind of terrain was clear. I walked quietly in human form, dressed in the clothes Ren had prepared for me, blending in as just another odd companion to this group of adventurers. As we moved forward, my fingers found Ciel's hand, and I gently squeezed it. Her soft grip tightened in response, grounding me amidst the unknowns of the forest of Jura. We continued in this vein for 3 hours. The sun was already dipping low, signaling evening, a good time to set up camp and prepare dinner. But the 3 adventurers didn't show any sign of slowing down. Instead, they huddled together, voices low, faces slick with cold sweat. We were walking along a path that, for some reason, I felt like I'd been on before. What exactly were they up to? I figured I could leave it to them. They were veterans, after all. But one of them looked on the verge of tears, and that caught my attention. Better butt in. Hey, you guys aren't lost, are you? No, of course not, I don't imagine. Cabal's voice sounded off, a little shaky. That didn't sit right with me. Were we really okay? I called up a mental map. This was definitely a route we'd traveled earlier. Maybe it was my imagination, but no, I couldn't be wrong. Quit screwing with me, guys. You're lost, aren't you? The 3 of them shivered and immediately bowed their heads in unison. I'm sorry. They admitted defeat, clearly rattled. Lost. Really? These guys were professionals, or so I thought. Ah well, we weren't in any real hurry, and honestly, I wasn't feeling up to setting up camp here in the forest. There'd be huts waiting in the construction zone, we could rest there instead. As I walked alongside them, I kept a gentle hold on Ciel's hand. Her touch was a quiet comfort in the growing darkness, steady and reassuring. We made it back in about an hour, following the trail we had blazed earlier. Using thought communication, I warned Geld so they'd have food ready for us upon arrival. My 3 companions couldn't have looked more sheepish. How could we have gotten lost in a place like that? Guido muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. Kind of hurts my confidence. Ellen added, biting her lip. Yeah, and I'm supposed to be a pro at forest trails, so this is even worse for me. Cobble admitted with a rueful grin. Guido seemed to take it the hardest, but it hurt them all, especially given how much they wanted to impress me. Geld responded by holding up a single flower between 2 fingers. Maybe this was the cause. I leaned in closer. What's that? That's a bafflettle, isn't it? Ellen exclaimed. They're a collection target for B-ranked guild quests. Not exactly easy to track down. The flower was rare, known for its hallucinogenic effects that disrupted the environment around it. It was sought after for use in magical items. Yep, this guy's been delaying our work effort today, too, Geld said, bowing to the trio. Sorry I didn't warn you about it earlier. He hadn't bothered because he figured with my magic sensibility, we couldn't possibly get lost. He had a point. After all, I had flown over this patch of forest to help plan the route. The idea that I'd get lost walking more slowly through it probably never crossed his mind. It wasn't really Geld's fault. If anything, it was mine for wanting to have an authentic adventurer experience without relying on any cheat skills. Oh no, I'm sorry for being negligent myself. I'll make sure to help them out more tomorrow, Geld said. By then, Geld's crew had already tracked down and uprooted the Baffletals in the area to prevent further interference. There were over 100 stuffed into a bag inside their storehouse. Seeing an opportunity, I swallowed them into my stomach skill and had them analyzed. They were relieved. Burning the flowers would only release the hallucinogens into the air, and burying them risked them taking root and causing trouble again later. If they were rare enough for the guild to assign quests on them, it was a win-win solution. That was our first day on the road. To be continued.